for this question, they've actually given us an isometric view of the shape they're wanting us to draw. Then be very careful to make sure you read this question's instructions carefully, because it actually says at the top here, given an isometric view of an angle bracket with a constant thickness of 10 millimeters. Sometimes if you look at this, you might think to yourself that there's measurements missing, but they've just told us that it's got a constant thickness of 10 millimeters, which means that height will be 10, that'll be 10, that'll be 10, as well as this thickness over here will be 10 millimeters. Okay, so to start this off, they've asked us to draw a front view on cutting plane AA, as well as the top view and the left view. But if you have a look at the drawing, you'll see that there's an angled part in here which does not give us the height of the actual drawing. So we are not going to be able to start with the front view, and we're also not going to be able to start with the top view because we don't know how far over this actually leans. It's always best when you've got an angle in a drawing to start with the view that shows the actual angle. So in that case, we have to start with our left view. And because this is a third angle orthographic drawing, we're going to draw our left view on the left-hand side of the page here, and the right view next to it over here. So we're just going to make sure, of course, that we have enough space for our left view and for our right view. So I'm going to draw in an XY line over here on the side of my page. Okay, and I'm going to draw my left view on the left of that line. I'm going to make sure that I have my 10 millimeter gap, as always, away from that line. I'll draw the construction line for that. And then I'm not too sure as to how high this drawing is, so I'm going to start it decently low on the page. I do, however, know that, of course, the width of this drawing is 46. There's that 46 over there, which means that this front part over here is also 46 millimeters. And then, of course, as we've said in the instructions, it says that it's got a constant thickness of 10 millimeters. So this front part over here, that'll be 10 millimeters high and 10 millimeters high. And since I'm looking from the left view over here, I'm going to see those two faces of 10 millimeters high first. So I'm going to go and draw that in. I first of all need to measure out my 46 millimeter width, which I'm going to mark off first and just draw a construction line for, and then I can draw in my baseline, and then up from that baseline, I'm then going to have two lots of 10 millimeters up for those two lines we were talking about, and then we can draw those in. Okay, now we've got that in, we can draw in our sidelines as well. And then we're going to have a look at that fun angled part in the middle over there. Okay, so now this angled part in the middle here, first of all, we must look carefully at the information that's given to us. It tells us that that line going up from the side, there's a 60-degree angle. So I'm going to take my 60-degree set square, and I'm going to draw a line up from that same corner, okay, at a 60-degree angle, okay, for my left view. And then I am going to go and measure 30 millimeters up from that line straight up there to get that center line. You'll see there that it's measured from that line there, which is in line with the center line that I'll see from my left view, which is this line here. So I've got to measure 30 millimeters up from that, and I'm going to then draw a construction line across. Once I've got that in, and where that 30 millimeter then hits into my angled line here, that of course is going to be where that angled line would have to stop, and where my arc would have to stop with the big one at the top here. Okay, but you can see there that it doesn't give me a measurement for that big arc, and that's because that big arc has got to go from this side to the other side of this line here, which should be parallel to this line over here. Okay, so that line must also go out at a 60-degree angle. I'm going to draw that out as well. That must also go out at a 60-degree angle. And then it's shown us that 30 millimeters up, that is where the center line is going to be for all my circles. So I'm going to go and measure the center line on this base part over here. I'm going to mark that off, and I'm going to project that up at a 60-degree angle. I could just measure it on this line over here, makes no difference. Find the center of that line there. That point now I know is the center point for all of these circles, as well as that big circle over there. But for that big circle at the top there, now because this is now out at a 60-degree angle over here, the distance, the perpendicular distance between those two lines is no longer 46 millimeters. So if I take my compass to go and draw the circle that for the big circle, I put my compass point there. I'm simply going to open it up to the end of my one side, and then I'm going to draw in a arc, which is simply got to make sure it touches both sides of that piece. And that's pretty much going to look like that. Okay, once I've drawn that in, now of course I can go to my other circles. My outer circle here is diameter 24, so I'm going to put my compass onto a radius of 12 so that I can draw that in. Okay, there's my radius of 12, and then the other circle on the inside there is diameter 16, so I'm going to put my compass onto radius 8 for that. And then draw that in. For these smaller circles, you must make sure that you hold on tight to your compass, otherwise it slips very easily. Like this one's trying to do. Okay, so there's my 3 circles that I need for that left view. And then the last thing there, they say for this drawing that I don't have, doesn't say anything about hidden detail. Okay, but if it doesn't say anything about hidden detail, that means that we must draw in all of the hidden detail. So for this drawing, there's a couple of things that I'm going to see as hidden here. Okay, of course it's going to be this hole over here, as well as those 2 smaller holes at the back over there. But I'm actually going to leave drawing those into this view till later, because it'll be easier to project them from my top view. Okay, and now that I've gotten the angle of this and its width and everything, I can now draw my top view, and I can even go and draw my front view. So now that we've got that angle over there, let's go and have a look quickly at what our front view is going to look like of this. Okay, we'll just leave the question up there. Now I'm going to go and project all of these lines across. Okay, over there for my front view, it says that it wants a sectional front view. Okay, a front view on cutting plane AA. And the cutting plane AA, you can see in the question here, goes right through the middle of this drawing. Okay, right through the middle. So we actually need to draw that in over here on this left view to be able to see exactly how it's going to cut, to be able to draw my front view. So let's just draw that in. Okay, it's got to be on the center of the base, which is a line over here. Okay, you'll see that it's got to be centered there on the base, which is a line there. Okay, and it would be a line that would go through over there. Okay, which is quite interesting because that shows that it actually does not cut through either of those 2 holes over there. It actually misses them. It just goes straight past on the edge. Okay, so once we've got that in, we're then going to go and try out our front view over here. Now, remember that our cutting plane is going to cut off this part over here. Okay, that side there. That's the part that it's cutting off. Okay, if we should actually add in arrows over here to indicate that. Okay, our cutting plane would have arrows like that. It would be labeled AA. And that indicates that we're cutting away this part over here and then drawing the front view over here to see what it would look like. Okay, so if we then go and project across, we'll see that the actual height of what we're going to have left will be that line up top there. Okay, we can go and measure our 10mm gap across over here. And go and draw in that, so we've got our 10mm spacing still. And then we know that the full length of our front view is what meant to be, if you have a look at that, it's 52 across with a 10mm gap and 90mm across. So 42 plus the 90 will give us the total length across, which is 132. So I'm going to measure that 132 across here and just mark that off so I know where my drawing is supposed to end, all the way on the side over there. And now I can go and draw in the little step part that you'll see in the front. That part was meant to be 52 across in total at the top over here, which I'm going to go and draw in dark so long. Okay, that was meant to be 52 across. And then of course, because it's got a 10mm width, this part over here would be 42. And then we can draw in dark line over there. Okay, and then this of course will come down to hit there. This piece will come down to hit there. And then we have this piece which will be dark all the way along to finish off that nice base part that we have. Okay, that top line I mustn't actually draw in dark yet. Because of this cutting, part of that line is not going to be drawn in dark. I can draw this end part over here in dark. Okay, great. Now, when we cut through this, because over here we can see that we're going to be looking at the side of that, okay, from our front view over here, we look at the side of it. So, when we cut through this over here, we're not going to see a joining line between this piece and the base, so that little line over there will come out. Okay, but we now have to follow our cutting lines to see what we're going to draw. Okay, so if we have a look at the cutting line, it cuts through over there on the edge of the circle. So we're going to project that across. We also know, of course, that to get to this edge over here, we're going to have to go 45mm in from the back there. So I'm going to measure my 45mm in from the back. And then, of course, I know that that's 10mm wide because it said that everything's 10mm wide. Okay, and then I know that I'm going to need a dark line from there all the way to in line with what I projected over from my left view, like that. That's the top part of the circle over there, and then this little line over here is the point at which that circle gets cut. It's that point there which I've now projected across, and then we can finish off this part here because no, we're still going to see that. And then you'll see I've left out that little line there because that's the joining piece between this piece here and the base plate, and because it's been cut through, we don't include that little joining line anymore. Okay, now because of the fact that this cutting plane completely misses that circle, okay, we're not going to have to draw anything in over there, but we are, however, going to go and draw in the circles that it does cut through, because it's going to cut through. If you have a look over here, it's going to cut through that circle there. It is, however, going to completely miss these two circles here. Just note that because it misses those two circles there, we're not going to draw any lines in over here. We're simply going to have to put that other cutting part in here, which is going to be this circle here, which we told is 20mm from that corner to that edge, and then 10mm in. So we're going to go and measure 20mm in from the edge, and then our 10mm in. That's how thick it is, and because we know it's a hole going straight down, we can then draw in our 2 lines there to indicate that hole. Okay, and we're definitely going to see that as that cutting plane actually goes through over there. Okay, then the next thing, of course, is we have to go and add in whatever our hatching lines are supposed to be for that front view. So we'll see over here, we're going to have to hatch all of this. It's quite a bit of hatching that you have to put in for this one. Okay, that little hole we don't hatch because, of course, again, we haven't cut through that, but now as we start getting this way here, we'll have to start cutting that part over there as well. So we're going to hatch both of those, and then those 45-degree hatching lines have to go all the way across this shape to complete this sectional front view. And then, of course, the last thing that you have to go and do after doing this is you go and use this view to then go and complete that top view, which should be quite easy to do now that we've got that left view to help us with it. Okay, try and keep those as neat as possible. You can see that one of mine didn't go so neat over there. Okay, but anyway, there we go. That's what that sectional front view is going to look like. And now to go and get that top view, we're going to go and put in our 10mm gap again, as always. Over there, we're going to draw in our XY line. We're also going to go and draw in our 45-degree line over here because we're drawing in third angle orthographic. That's where that 45 is going to go in. And then we can simply go and project our side lines up, of course, into our top view. That's the top part of that circle now that we've now figured out, and then the end line. And then over here from our left view, we're going to project up onto our 45-degree line, and we're going to project the very edge of that circle across, and then that's the edge of the base over there, and then of course inside into that base. And now we can clearly see from this top view that this whole side over here, of course, is just going to be straight. The only part that's going to stick out is this little piece over here, and how wide that sticks out has been seen from this line here, which comes across. So that is going to be this little piece over here, which we can match up, of course, with this view here, and it goes all the way across the shape. So we're going to be able to draw that in already all the way across over here. Like that. Okay, so you can see that I've added in those side lines there, and then the line coming across here. And then, of course, because this line belongs to the base, it goes under, okay, that's that line there, it goes under this arched part that comes out, so that little piece won't be seen from the top and becomes hidden detail. Okay, now, the next parts, of course, that we need to put in are those circles, okay, from over here, which, of course, are the one part sticks out. So we're going to project those lines up, okay, as well as the inside circle, which they say goes all the way through, and then the outside circles lines are that one and that one. Okay, and then what we're going to do then, you'll see that that one outside circle line actually lies directly on that line for the base, which is kind of helpful. And it's been told that of course comes out a distance of 12. You can see it there, comes out a distance of 12. So we're going to measure a distance of 12 out there, and we can draw that in so long. We know it comes 12 millimeters out, and then across like that. Okay, and then the hole on the inside, we've projected up already, so we can just take that across. Goes there and there, and that of course is hidden detail, but it has said that it goes all the way through, so our hidden detail lines there have to go all the way through as well to look like that. And then of course we can put in our two circles over here, which are both meant to be diameter 12, which is going to be fun to draw because of the size. Okay, but we know it's 20 millimeters in onto that center line, and then they've told us as well 15 millimeters to each edge from the middle, okay, of this. And it would seem that, yeah, that is the middle over there. So if we just take this across, 15 millimeters from each side will give us the two center points for those two lovely small little circles we're going to have to draw in there. And they've told us there that those two circles are both diameter 12, so we're going to have to put our compass onto a lovely radius 6 and then draw in those two circles. Again, if you've just got to hold on really tight to your compass when you do this, because otherwise you are going to get really annoyed with it in drawing those circles. So there's our first one, and then our second one in over here. And then of course the last thing that we have to go and draw in still is that other circle on this side over here, which they've said to us, okay, we can actually just project that up because we've got that edge already. That was meant to be 20 millimeters in. We can just project that straight up, and it is meant to be 10 millimeters wide, so we're just going to go that 5 mil in. And because of that, we're going to have to put our compass now into radius 5, even smaller than those other circles. Okay, we'll stick it onto radius 5, and then they've said to us there that we're meant to be 16 millimeters from the center line. Okay, so we're going to have to go a whole 8 millimeters from that center line in each direction. So 8 mil that way for that center point, and 8 mil that way for that center point. And then we can go and draw in those two lovely little half circles. Okay, one which will come in over here, and then the other one which comes in here. Again, got to hold on tight. If you don't hold on tight, then that happens. Okay, so just get that in there and get those lovely little small circles drawn in, and then we can just go, of course, and join those up with a straight line to then finish off that little middle part there. And then the last thing that we're looking for here, of course, is center lines. Okay, all of these lovely little circles, you need to remember that all circles require center lines in mechanical. So there's a whole bunch of center lines we're going to have to put in over here. Okay, that one as well. These drawings are not complete without all of these center lines. Okay, we have to put in a center line. Oh, now you can see over there I made a mistake with that top view, and I haven't lined it up with this view over here. Okay, but you can make sure that you do that with yours and you line it up correctly. But please make sure that you put in all of your center lines. As I say, this center line actually has to be at an angle because of the fact that its center was actually angled there, and then there's got to be a center line in over there, a center line in over there, and then you're going to have a center line slap bang in the middle over there as well, because that would be a cylinder. Okay, and that would then complete your top view, your front sectional front view, and your left view. Just be careful, as I say, you can see that mine's off over there. That should be in the center with that at the top there. You can make sure that doesn't happen with yours. And then, as I said, the big thing with this question is that you go and draw that left view first before you go and attempt any other part of this drawing.